Hello. We're here. As always, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm weird. But anyway, I'm here to talk about vocal magic and the voice and stuff. And hello, how you doing? Welcome. So we're going to talk today, I think, about making a song work for you. So, if you have any questions about song choice or changing keys or specific things to work on, if you're working on belting, if you're working on runs and stuff, like improvisation, that kind of a thing is going to fit into what we're talking about today. And so, let me know. You want to learn how to do a whistle note. I love that. So, yeah, I think the most important thing that I want most of my singers to get, like right up front, even within your first couple lessons, or if you haven't even taken lessons yet, I want you to realize that songs are flexible. They're always flexible to fit with your voice, and just because you struggle with singing a song in a certain key that the original artist sang it in doesn't mean that it needs to stay in that key. Doesn't mean that you can't change the melody up a little bit if something doesn't work for you. Doesn't mean that you can't make the tempo different. You can't slow it down. I think so many of us think that if you can't sing it exactly as the original artist sang it, then you're just out of luck. Like, you should just not even try. But that's absolutely not true. Like, we're comparing ourselves to incredibly seasoned professional artists, and that is just a recipe for feeling bad about yourself, right? A thing I talk about all the time is pitch versus tone. So a lot of times I'll have a singer try and sing, like, I don't know, a Taylor Swift song or something. Hey, Sam, welcome. And then they come back a couple weeks later and like, yeah, it just sounds off. I don't know why, but I'm like off pitch. It just doesn't sound good. And I'm like, okay, let's unpack that a little bit. Number one, can you explain what you mean by off? Like, what doesn't sound good about it? And then they'll usually come back with something like, I just feel like I don't have the same brightness as her. I don't feel like I can hit the same notes as she's hitting. And there may be something to that. But most people that come to me don't have a lot of issues matching pitch. It's really about the tone in reality. I try to sing exactly like Ariana Grande, but remind myself that I'm not professional. Totally. And there's something to, I want to say it's acceptance, but not in the acceptance of your own failures way, Like, of course you're not professional because you have not been working in the industry like Ariana Grande for her entire life, right? And that's like the good kind of acceptance. We're accepting that where we are is okay, and we don't have to compare ourselves to Ariana Grande, Hey, Tina, welcome. So the pitch versus tone thing, like if you feel like something is just off, like if you're singing along with Taylor Swift or Ariana Grande or whoever, and you feel like something is just off, ask yourself, are you actually off the note? Like, can you sing a note of the song matching the note with her? Or is it just that you have a different tone, a different texture, a different, are you in a different register? Because sometimes we're trying to sing songs that were originally recorded by a different gender than us, and so their voice has been influenced by different hormones, and so they have different ranges. Their breaks are in different places, but we're still trying to compare ourselves to those people. Even if you are a estrogen-influenced voice with a low voice, and you're trying to sing a song by a testosterone-influenced voice, but like a higher one, it's still not exactly gonna align in the way that you feel like it might be able to. So we really need to take a bigger view of everything and see how we can get to a place of, number one, accepting that you don't have the same instrument as that person. Like, just literally, even if you have been training as many years as them, you don't have the same physical instrument, and that has to be okay. And so we get to this point of like, okay, what kind of a tone does she have? Is she singing very far forward? Is she singing very narrow, pure toned, closed chord sound, kind of like musical theater or country or something? Or is she singing with a more tender, breathy, light and fluffy tone, as I like to call it? And how can we find a balance by just playing around with what you can do in your voice, with what's possible for you right now? And a lot of times we just don't allow ourselves, or we don't know how to play around with tone. We just feel like, oh, it doesn't sound exactly, it doesn't match up with them, so it must be off, you know? And I really want to get us out of that mindset, because a lot of what you are probably doing, I don't know your voice, but a lot of what you're probably doing is influenced by comparison. If you're a perfectionist of any caliber, if you are anxious, if you are an overthinker, if you feel like you have to do all or nothing, like if you're a singer in that respect, you're probably going to come to a place where you don't even realize it, but you're comparing and you're manipulating and you're fixing before anything even comes out of your mouth. And of course, that's not going to lead you to a free and easy tone like the professional singer that is singing the song. So we first of all have to take ourselves out of that situation. And second of all, we have to focus on how it feels for you. And you're not trying to fit yourself into the box of the recording that you're so used to, because number one, you don't have their instrument, and number two, you have a different tone and a different way of expressing yourself as well. And that is okay, and that's what's beautiful. That's what we want more of. We want more of that contrast, because nobody wants to hear the same cover of Ariana over and over again. Everybody wants a new and exciting, different cover. If you're writing your own songs, but you're influenced by other people, and you're always thinking, man, it doesn't sound as good as Adele, you know, like, there's no way you're ever going to feel the freedom that you are looking for. There's no way that the audience is ever going to feel your expressions that you're looking for them to feel if you're always in comparison mode, because before any sound even comes out, it's just going to be flat and forced and overly accurate, you know? That's a thing nobody ever talks about, is like, sure, we want to be accurate, but like, there's a thing as too accurate, because we can get to be like robotic and too exact, and the human voice is not that. The human voice is specifically not accurate all the time. There's wavering, there's different vibrato, there's, you know, if you're slightly above the pitch, that's how we understand on a biological level that we're listening to a human. That's why people hate auto-tune, you know, because it doesn't sound natural, because it's not natural. It happens all the time. I don't know of a record in the last 10 years that doesn't have at least a teeny little bit of auto-tune on it. Most of the time you can't even tell, but it's because the human voice is made for imperfections. It's made to be uneven a lot of the time, and it's made to overall express emotion. And some of those little imperfections help you express emotion even better than a perfectly accurate phrase would, you know? So that's the other part of making the song work for you, is not trying to even hit on the same like exact frequency as the original artist, because you're not probably going to be able to. Even when I'm recording a song of mine and I'm trying to double a lead part, I'm not ever trying to get exactly the same frequency, because it's literally impossible to do, because the voice is so imperfect. The only way to get an exact copy is to copy and paste. And so that's why on a lot of pop songs, you don't even realize it, but there's a lot of the time a double of the lead vocal that is just them singing it again, trying to be as accurate as possible, but the frequencies are slightly off, and that's why it sounds bigger. That's why how you get a bigger, wider sound. And then if you exaggerate that, it sounds like a group of people singing, right? And you can have one person doing 10 tracks of the same lead vocal, and it sounds like a choir or a small group or something. But that's what we want. That's how we tell that there's multiple voices in the room, because of the slight variations in frequency that there are. And so if we're always trying for exact frequency matching, either whether it's your own voice or if you're trying to compare yourself and exactly hit the notes just like Ariana does, like, you're never going to achieve that because it's not humanly possible, you know? So we have to give ourselves some slack, like a lot of slack. And just the fact that you are focusing on the feeling and working towards getting a freer, relaxed sound so that you're not over pushing and over singing in here is going to get you to the better sound that you want, as long as you're not comparing. So usually how I ask people to go through the process of learning a song is, number one, listen to it 8 billion times so that you know exactly where that melody goes, so that you don't have to use the original over and over again, because the more you sing with the original, the more you're going to be in comparison mode, and you're always going to be manipulating before anything comes out. Enya's known for her vocal layering. Dolores from the Cranberries. Yeah. It's a huge sound. Even on like the little lighter stuff, it's always doubled, and it's really cool, and we love the different changes and stuff. That's what we listen for. That's what makes it cool. So learn the song first. What I'm saying. Number one, learn it so well you could do it in your sleep. Number two, then we work on tone, right? So you're not even hardly singing with it when you're learning the song, and then when you go in to start singing, you know the melody so well from listening to it over and over again that you don't have to work so hard to learn where that melody goes. You can just sing it a whole bunch, and then while you're learning how to sing it, you're being really diligent about paying attention to where tension comes in, right? And your goal overall always is ease. So even if you have a big note, a big belty note that you're going up to, you're working on that one little section on how do I get that note to feel as easy as speaking, right? So like, for example, let's do the Adele song, Easy on Me, right? So, right? That's it. Go easy on me, baby. Yeah. So that's a kind of a high belty note. So if you find yourself straining and trying to hit that high note, because Adele is a really good singer and we have to effort our way into that. This is all subconscious dialogue that I'm doing in quotes. What come out might be something like, go easy on me, baby. Right, that higher part is squeezed because you feel like you really have to work to get up there. Go E, and especially on an E vowel, it tends to flatten things out in your pharynx and not give yourself a lot of space or relaxation in here. So I would say, let's go back, find the easiest way to say that. So I would say, just speak it. Go easy on me, babe. Easy on me, right? I'm not going E like I was before. Go easy on me. That feels super easy in here. I'm not straining. I'm not putting any extra effort in there. I'm not tightening up. I'm not squeezing. I'm not trying to reach for that note. I'm just like, oh, I know I can do this all day long because it's as easy as speaking. It is speaking, right? And they're not different voices. This is the other thing I talk about so often. Your speaking voice and your singing voice are not two different voices. It's the same voice. It's all you. It's just how you perceive it and the pressure that you put on it before you let that voice out. So if you can hit that note when you're speaking, go easy on me. You can hit it when you're singing. We're just trying to keep that coordination, that ease that you had at the very beginning of that, and just hold it for a little longer. So easy becomes E, and you just don't put any extra morphing, any extra maneuvering onto that. You don't put any extra holding and fear into it. And that takes practice. It takes a lot of practice, because that gremlin's going to come in and be like, who are you? Who do you think you are, singing an Adele song, right? And it's going to be like, oh, this is going to be hard. You better muscle into it. And so in the middle of that note, you might find yourself thinking that thought, and then your voice reacts to it. And so it'll become something like this. Go E, right? Come in and out of it because you don't trust yourself yet. And that's totally an okay thing. It takes time to really get to know that gremlin voice and to choose a different path, to accept that it's there. We're not fighting, we're not resisting. We're just saying, I don't have to listen to you right now. And then second of all, training your muscles to be able to hold on to that ease by giving your body something else to grab onto, right? So if you find yourself straining from these muscles, we're making the song work for us, right? That's the whole theme of today, making the song work for us, not trying to fit ourselves into a teeny little box of what you think the song should be. So we are, maybe that note is too high for you. Maybe we take the key down a little bit. So then it becomes go, instead of go E, it becomes go E. Take the whole key down. Go easy on me, baby. So then we're not straining. And then everything is more settled. And this just comes from knowing your voice, knowing where your range lies, knowing where your bottom end is, knowing where your top of your chest voice is, knowing where your head voice can come in and out, knowing where your top range is. It just has a lot to do with knowing yourself, accepting yourself, and trusting yourself. This is what it's all about. Not trying to force yourself into a situation that is more difficult than you are ready for right now. Right? We're, of course, always growing. We're efforting in the long term, but not in the physical sense. We're trying to train our nervous system to not see these big belty notes as hurdles anymore in this example. And whatever it is for you, whether it's whistle notes or breathing or whatever it is for you, I want you to start seeing that as like, oh, that is a big weight that I'm putting on myself that's just making my nervous system freak out even more, right? And so we have to be very scientific about it. Number one, take the pressure off, make the song work for us, change the key if you need to, find a better way to say that one phrase that's a struggle phrase, and then we can come to a place of, okay, now the song works for me. Now I'm going to rehearse it, find those struggle points again. If there's little teeny struggle points, do that again. You know, we're always whittling down layer by layer. Okay, this is the next struggle point. How do I make this feel easy for me? And then over time, you have a whole song that feels easy, that feels like you've done it before a million times because you have, and you've trained your gremlin to not freak out because it's not a big thing anymore, because you've done it over and over again. You gave yourself evidence that it's possible. And you train your nervous system and your body to stop physically reacting so harshly to that big scary thing, whatever the big scary thing is for you. So overall, we are loving and accepting where we are and growing, being scientists, little bits of baby steps at a time. Hopefully that all makes sense. So if you have a song that you're working on right now, if you have a performance coming up, something that is a deadline, I would say pick a song that you know really well already, or if you're having to learn a new song, pick a song that doesn't feel like a huge, big, belty Whitney Houston kind of a number, you know? Let it be something that is reachable, because reachable is way easier on your nervous system. And also, you can break it up into smaller pieces and get to a place of success faster. And that is always good for your nervous system. It's always good to give yourself evidence. Oh, I did that. I took it into little baby steps and I did it. I succeeded. I didn't die. I sang it in front of my husband, my cat, my child. They didn't hate me. I wasn't kicked out of the group. I'm good. You know, you get yourself evidence little bits at a time by doing this rehearsal process, accepting, loving, relaxing into it, And then over time, you start singing it for one person, 2 people, 4 people, training your nervous system to integrate those things instead of tighten up and react to those things, you know? So we're making things work for us because that's how we grow. If we try and fit ourselves into a box that is not us, people can tell, you know? They can tell you're just trying to be something you're not. They can tell you're just trying to copy someone's voice because there's extra tension, right? Even if they don't know that you have tension, they're not a vocal coach, they don't know how to listen to vocals. If you're struggling because you're trying to fit yourself into 5 steps ahead of where you are, they're going to be able to tell. People hear struggle first. They don't hear pitch unless they're a super music nerd. They don't hear pitch issues first. They hear struggle first, right? As humans, we are programmed to hear each other's struggles in our voices. This is what our voices are made for, is to communicate our emotions. But from before we even had words, right? Before language was a thing, we could grunt in a certain way and our friends would know that we were in trouble, right? So it's a very real thing that you can't disguise, you know? So this is why we want to bring the song to us. Make it work for you. There's no shame in changing a key, ever. There's no shame in changing up a melody. If there's one note that's too high for you, bring it the heck down. No shame, you know? It's okay because it's still the song, and chances are if you are feeling more solid about it, you're going to wow that person listening way more than if you're trying to hit a note that is a struggle for you, and then your body follows suit and also struggles, and then your voice also struggles. They'll hear that first thing and they'll be like, oh, that was a note that was too high for that person. And I'm not saying don't ever try for notes that are too high for you, because we're working over time on expanding our range with warm-ups and all that. And maybe we raised up the key half a step so that we could grow a little bit. We could have a reach goal, right, within a song, but the whole song does not need to be a reach goal, right? This is what I'm saying. Like, we don't need to try and sing a whole Whitney Houston song if we're just working on belting for the first time, you know? Take the small parts, a song with maybe one belting part, and then we work on that and we dissect it into little pieces and we think, how can this be easy on me? What a great song I chose, right? Go easy on me. I didn't even do that on purpose. LOL. You gotta go easy on yourself, man. That's the whole moral of the story today. Go easy on yourself, because people can hear it when you don't. There's your one-liner, mic drop for today. People can hear it when you're not going easy on yourself, when you're struggling, when you're forcing, when you're overdoing. Man, usually this is, it's really what I need to hear when I just let things come through me like this, but this is a very strong, this is for you, Sarah, moment. Sarah, stop overdoing things. My God. And if anybody else needs to take that, please take it. If you are an overdoer, which chances are if you're here, you are. If you need that message, please take it with you today. Don't overdo. Don't try and fit yourself into circles that you are not ready for yet. Don't try and do the level 10 when you're only on level 5, you know? It's just not going to work out the way you want it to. Sure, it might be impressive if you nail it, but how many times can you nail it in rehearsal, you know, if you're only at a level 5? So that's all I'm saying, is acceptance from a loving place and from a scientific place, and going with the flow a little bit, you know? If your voice is not up to the range that you want it to be, if your voice is not up to Ariana range right now, we're not trying to change that, because we have a beautiful instrument as it is. And so we want to give our instrument the best environment to succeed as it is right now, because we're not trying to change it. Like, we literally can't. Like, we can grow and we can stretch and we can expand, but you can't change your instrument into being somebody else's instrument. Like, it's just not a thing. So we have to come from a place of love and acceptance first. And we have to come from a place of, I'm going to make this work for me instead of working for something that feels not reachable right now. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not impossible, just less reachable. And because we know what we know about the nervous system, when you put your nervous system in hot water, like if you're jumping into a pool of, let's go with cold water because that feels like more of an appropriate response, right? So if you jump into a freezing lake, your body's going to freeze up and it's like, get me out of here. It's going to start moving and shaking and doing everything it possibly can to get warm again. It's a big, big change, right? But if you step into a little bit cold water, just like slightly colder than your body temperature, your body is going to take a little time, but it's going to warm up slowly and more sustainably, and eventually that colder water will feel not so cold anymore, right? And then if you step into a little bit colder water than that, then your body will have time to regulate, and eventually that colder water will not feel so cold anymore. And then maybe you can go into the freezing water, and then it will be like, oh, okay, I've done something similar to this. This is not terrible. You're giving your body time to acclimate. Right? That's what your nervous system is. It's the regulation system. So when you are shocking your system all the time by trying to do things that are way out of your comfort zone, I'm all for taking risks. Like, I have crazy big dreams. I do things out of my comfort zone all the time because I think it's good for me. But sometimes I need to know when something is a little too big for my britches, right? Because it's not fun to jump into freezing water when you are 98 degrees, right? Just not fun. So I much prefer getting my body acclimated over time to these big scary moments. So this is what I did when I first started singing in musicals. It was very scary at first, but what I did to get used to it was, I sang for my voice teacher, I sang for my family, and then I went and auditioned, got into the ensemble, kind of got acclimated to musical theater in the ensemble when I didn't have any lines, and I was just singing on stage, and that was scary enough for me. That was my level 1 cold water moment, right? Hey, Anthony, how you doing? And Sam, thank you for coming. So yeah, that was my level 1 moment. And then eventually I started auditioning for bigger roles because I was like, all right, this ensemble thing feels okay. I think I can do another step, right? I can do the next level 2 step. So I auditioned for a lead role. Didn't get it the first time. Still in the ensemble. Felt like, okay, I'm great in the ensemble now. Also comfortable with auditioning for lead roles, even if I don't get it, because I have had that experience now, and it's not a big deal, right? I survived it. My nervous system has integrated it. Then I started auditioning for more lead roles, and I ended up getting them and having to do the lead role. And that was like level 3 freezing water, right? But I would never, ever have been able to jump into that lead role earlier when I had no ensemble experience. You know what I mean? So as you're starting to sing on bigger and bigger stages, this is why I ask you to sing for one person at first, right? Sing for one person. Let your nervous system integrate that fear. Let your nervous system be like, okay, we did that. We survived. That is a doable experience again, right? And then the more people we start singing for, maybe sing for 3 people, 5 people, then that starts to feel pretty normal. And then maybe you can start stepping onto stages of 50 people, 100 people, because then your nervous system will not be so shocked and be shivering in freezing water. It's like, oh, I acclimated to this over time. Hopefully that's a good metaphor. Does that help? Do you have any questions about all this? making things work for you because your nervous system is so biologically programmed in this way. So yeah, this is a really important conversation. So many people that come to me are just like expecting themselves to, you know, after a month of lessons, I should sound like Ariana Grande. And that's not a realistic thing. It's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for goals and big dreams. However, we have to take our nervous system and our mind into account. And as we know, breaking habits, especially habits related to muscling and related to your fight or flight response, is very, very difficult to get rid of over time. Some of them are just with you forever. Like your nervous system response, like that's going to be, it's so ingrained. It's like in your bones, right? You're even if you have trained yourself to not react so intensely to it, it's going to be the first thing that pops into your mind. You know, like if you're a fighter, your first instinct is to be like, oh, I got to run away from this. This is scary. But then as you train yourself, you can start to see that message for what it is and be like, oh, that's just my nervous system response. I don't have to run away because I have trained myself and I have done this over and over again, because I have put myself in small situations, then slightly bigger situations, and then slightly bigger situations, you know? So then it becomes less of a big scary thing that you have to run away from, and then it's more of just like, all right, I hear you telling me that I should run away, but I am stronger than you now, and I don't have to run away, right? I don't have to hide from risk taking anymore, because now my nervous system is stronger. Yeah? Does that feel right and real? So I want you to think about what your goal is. This is your homework for today, if I can give you homework. Think about your next goal with your voice. Is it a performance? Is it an open mic night? Is it a karaoke bar? Is it, are you recording a song? I want you to break that down into 5 smaller pieces. What is the big goal? What's maybe one step back from that big goal? And then one more step back, and then you get your first step right here. Okay, what's your next first step? How do I get myself out of my comfort zone with 1 foot? I'm not jumping 10 feet out of my comfort zone. I'm taking 1 step out of the comfort zone, 1 foot. And that's where I want you to start. And let me know what that is for you, because I'm very curious how you break down your goals and how your plan to train your nervous system is going to go, because I want to help you. So let me know. Put in the comments, what's your first baby step towards your big goal? I want to know what your big goal is, and then what's your first baby step. Okay? That's your homework for today. I love you all very much. I know not a lot of you live where I live, but I'm doing an audition workshop here in person tomorrow night for those of us that are auditioning for the next big musical here. However, if you're interested, if you are a community theater person, or if you are auditioning for anything, for bands, if you just want the experience, if you want me to do an online audition workshop, let me know. Put that in the comments too, and I will put that together if I have enough interest. Because there are people doing community theater all over the place, and not just here. So yeah, when I first auditioned, I was terrified. I had no idea what to expect, but luckily I had a very good teacher. I had a vocal coach who expressed that I had a good voice and that she thought I should audition, and I was like, okay, cool, tell me what to do. So she walked me through the whole process, what was most likely to happen. She walked me through my song, so I felt better about what was bound to come up with my own nervous system when I was singing. And that just changed my whole world, so that my first audition experience was actually really lovely, and it wasn't this terrifying thing that I had to like come down from, you know, because I was prepared. I had imagined it. My nervous system had experienced at least some part of it, and it was not as big of a deal. Of course I was still nervous, and of course I was still shaking, but it wasn't like a paralyzing experience, you know. So let me know if you want me to do an audition workshop online, and I will do that. Hey Wes, welcome. Just finishing up. Yeah, that's what I have going on right now. If you are a student of mine, I'm gonna announce shortly that I have a cool guest speaker coming to chat with us in about a month. And I just remembered that, so hold me to it. Ruby Rose Fox of Muscle Music, who I share her stuff constantly because I love all of it. She is who I've been really learning a lot about the nervous system from. So highly recommend going to follow her. She's going to come do kind of level 102 talk for us about her muscle music, her Fox method of, polyvagal theory for performers, which is super cool. So that's happening. If you're not my student and you want more of this stuff, go, get on my email list. I don't have it up currently, but if you go to my website and book a call with me, you'll get on my email list that way, and you can just chat and see if you're a good fit for private lessons or maybe the next Vocal Magic cohort. And yeah, that's me, just sarahjollymusic.com. Yeah, lots of cool stuff happening the next little while, so keep in touch. Let me know if you have any questions ever, just comment on any of my stuff and I'll make a video about, my answer to your question, and I'm happy to do that. All right, I'm gonna chill before my next lessons, but I will see you later very soon, and have a lovely, lovely week. Mwah!